You can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll lead that. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is Planning and Zoning Board / LPA, which is the advisory board of the county commissioners, will have the final recommendations. And on all items today. Items on today's agenda will be heard by the commission on July 17th at 5 p.m. at the same place. When a motion ends, any kind of split vote or roll call vote will be taken to ensure accuracy. As a reminder, each member needs to who makes a motion or second needs to turn on their microphone so the voice will be on the recording. Speakers for the public comment on agenda items will be given 3 minutes. At this time, is there any board members that have had communications with anybody regarding anything today? Seeing none, I'll turn it over.
Thank you. Item H1, Linde, Inc., represented by Kim Rezanka, requests a conditional use permit, CUP, for IU1 under application 25Z 00017, located in District 1.
Yes, ma'am.
It was such a short presentation, I got sidetracked. My name is Kim Rezanka. I'm here on behalf of Linde, Inc. With me is Michael Ashton. He is from Texas. He's the Government Affairs Director. Correct, yes. And he is here to tell you a little bit about Linde. I know many of you have heard me about 4 times now regarding Linde's expansion. Linde has been a natural gas production facility since 1966 in Mims. It's on Hammock Road next to the river, Wiley Road, way up North Mims, 8 miles from the county line. I was here back in January just for the zoning, the heavy industrial zoning and the future land use to make the land consistent. This board voted unanimously to approve the heavy industrial use and land use, and I told you we would come back with a conditional use permit when we're able to get a site plan, and that's what we're here for today. With me also is Bruce Moya, the engineer of record. He's the one who drafted the site plan, so if you have any specific questions. This is basically just expanding the plant. They're taking another plant, they're buying and moving it here so they can increase production. This is needed because of all of the launches at the Space Center. SpaceX particularly, you all have seen the letters of support for this because they need this to go forward. They need to be able to get the gas they need to launch these rockets. So this is a conditional use permit. The county code requires a conditional use for heavy industrial. Unlike most conditional uses, there's no criteria. It just says you must have one. That's so you can look at the site plan, you can ask questions. If there's conditions you think need to be placed on the conditional use, that's where this comes. Instead of a binding development plan, it goes on a conditional use approval. So, as I said, this future land use and rezoning was approved by you all January 13th unanimously, went to County Commission, was approved unanimously at County Commission on February 6th. The purpose, as I said, is to expand this, and I know you've heard this before, but Michael's going to talk about Linde and tell you what it does, and then we can go through the conditional use standards and requirements. So I'd ask Michael to come up.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
he's got a PowerPoint. If you want a printed version, I have those as well. You just hit the
Let's make sure it works.
Let's try it out.
should work. Enter. There we go.
Okay. So thank you, members of the board. My name is Mike Ashton. As introduced, I do government relations for Linde. I really appreciate you taking the time. Just really briefly, I want to go over a little bit of an overview of Linde, what this project is going to be doing. Linde is a global industrial gas company. You see up on this slide some of the end users that we have. What we produce in this facility particularly is going to be oxygen, nitrogen, and argon. This is a very foundational product for the aerospace industry, electronics, food and beverage, medical services as well. So let me just kind of go to the next one. This is what we call atmospheric gases. So this is the air that we breathe. You know, it's 80% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, and then about 1% argon and other rare gases. So what we're doing is pretty much capturing the air that we breathe, cleaning it up, and turning it around for sale. So let me give you, this is a schematic of the facility that we will be building that already exists today in MIMS that we'll be expanding to in this conditional use permit. So I'll kind of walk you through a little bit of the process. What we do again is we take the atmospheric gases that we breathe today. What we're trying to do is focus on oxygen, nitrogen, and argon. We strip out any impurities, anything else that's in the air, vent that, but then we take and cool in our cold boxes using gravity, pressures, and really cold temperatures to separate the oxygen, nitrogen, and argon. And so we put it into a liquid phase, and then we store it at these different storage facilities, and then we have a loading bay. We put them on trucks out for distribution. So that's essentially what the process is. There is no chemical additives into the process, so it means it's a very clean facility. If we have any upset as far as a power outage or something like that, we can just vent it back up in the air because it's the air that we breathe essentially is what we are processing. So it's from a manufacturing standpoint, it's a very clean process. Wanted to give you kind of a side view of it. The cold box does have a height of about 135 feet. But it kind of gives you a side view of what we are looking at from the facility. This is a picture of our existing facility that's at MIMS today. Again, it was started in the 1960s with NASA, and we've been able to expand that to continue to grow, but we're really excited about this opportunity to double the size. Just kind of give a little schematic of where we're going to be. The picture on my right is the existing plant. Up to the north, you see those two rectangular locations. That's where the existing plant would be going in. This is property that Linde owns, and so this is the area that we're looking for expansion. To my left is kind of a little broader view of where this is located off of Wiley Avenue, and you see Route 1 as well. So we feel it's a very good location, and we're really excited for this opportunity. It's going to bring about 20 new jobs, and this is about a $90 million investment for our company. So really appreciate the time. Open up for, happy to have any questions answered or anything that you might have.
Because you're the technical guy, let me get anybody on the board like to talk to this gentleman here? Okay.
That are along Wiley?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you have a current operation, so I assume that you've been doing this. How long's that other plant been there?
So it started up in 1960.
Okay.
So then we've had some expansions there. Today we truck about 40 to 45. Yes, we do store trucks at our site.
Okay. Another question. What are you going to do with the surplus materials that you don't use? You going to just let them back up into the air?
So that's the purpose of the storage facilities. So we do have these storage tanks. So these storage tanks will load up. The big one on my left is nitrogen. The tube ones are kind of oxygen, liquefied oxygen, and the small one is argon. So we are able to store them in these facilities where we put them on trucks. Mm-hmm. However, if we do not have a market, yes, like if we do have too much oxygen or if we produce too much, we would vent it.
You'll vent that. What about the other gases that are in breathing air that you're not going to use? So
those are kind of, so those would be regular that are already in the atmosphere today. So mm-hmm. Those would be any impurities that we find like NOx or any sort of particulate matter. And so we would vent those back out as well.
But in higher concentrations?
Not necessarily, because we're taking them right in and then they're separating at that moment to be
They're vented out.
At that moment, and then the oxygen, nitrogen, and argon are captured and pushed along. Okay. But right when we use the vacuum to suck it in, we vent any impurities right there. So It's not any concentrated matter. We do not need a state permit for air for this facility.
Environmental, you mean?
Environmental, yeah.
Okay. You dumping anything?
No, we're not dumping anything.
Okay. So you don't have any pond? I noticed that on the site
we do have wastewater. We do have retention ponds. We do have wastewater because we have cooling tower facilities. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of heat concentration that is utilized in this. So we do have some of that wastewater. I don't know necessarily to say we're dumping it, but we do have to capture that wastewater. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll assure you that stays on site.
Yeah.
Are you going to house any people on that site?
So what do you mean by housing? As far as like offices and
Yeah.
facilities? Not at this site, because of our existing site already has the offices that are required and needed.
All right. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
I have a question. So Wiley Road is paved, but that section of Dixie Way or Hammock or whatever it is right there is dirt. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, that's all. Thanks, sorry.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so my question just is, so with these trucks leaving, like, and I know they're not going out one after another, right? But like, I know traffic in that area does back up. Are we thinking about, stoplight? Is there, anything like that in the works?
Yes. Well, what we have done, and this is our commitment to Commissioner Delaney, we've had a discussion with Commissioner Delaney, and then part of that, I reached out to Florida DOT, and we've begun having that discussion. I talked to just a couple weeks ago. I talked to a team there about the expansion and what that means for additional trucks to that intersection. They did a study a few years ago upon Linde's request for the existing facility, and they did not find any need. But now that we're doubling the capacity, additional trucks, they are going to evaluate additional study, and that's kind of our request. And so that is ongoing discussions that we are working with DOT.
Yeah, especially because it's going out with these chemicals, right?
Yes, right.
So that's the fear factor there. We wouldn't want anybody running into, having an accident with that.
Completely understand. Yep. Yes, and that's why we commissioned the study in the first place. We feel confident in our truck drivers, but as well, like, we know how accidents happen and occur. We do also very accidents can happen, but I want to assure you that these tanks have multiple layers to make sure that nothing can get out, and then they're also they're also going to be vented very quickly out in the air in case there is an incident.
Okay.
I have a question. Is mine
Okay.
on? Yeah, it is. So you're taking air, and out of that air, you're taking nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. And then what isn't in that group of three, you're putting back into the atmosphere. Do you know about what percentage of the whole cubic footage of air that you're taking in goes out as not one of those three?
Yeah, it's I don't know exact percentage, but it's very, very, very small.
Like less than one?
Less than one,
Okay.
because argon is 1%, and we're capturing that in order to produce it. There also is, we can capture neon, xenon, and another gas as well, but it's some of the particulate matter, particularly, that we will be venting back out.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's a very, very small trace.
I just got two small ones. I'm sure you've got every EPA permit for one of these plants in the world. You've got them. So, we've got a plant that's not yours that's in North Merritt Island, and it's generated some concerns with the neighborhood there with some of the sounds now that are created. When it was built, I think after yours, it was rather quiet. When you fire once a year, it's not too noisy, and now today it's much noisier. Are your sound differentials different with a newer, modern Moore plant than the old one is there on North Rhode Island?
So I'm going to take you to, and I do the U.S., I'm going to take you to Wisconsin, because we're building another
Right.
facility in Wisconsin, kind of closer to a neighborhood, and we've talked about the noise factor. This is a manufacturing facility.
Right.
We're on 24/7. We had a lot of discussion at a public meeting about noise. I would say that our newer technology does have efficiencies to mitigate that, but what we did in Wisconsin was kind of build some burrs around it to do some mitigation for that, to reduce the level at the fence line. We knew that the local organization, can't remember the exact number, but they had a noise figure that at our fence line, we were able to get below that.
Yeah.
And I would say it's going to be very similar here. We do purposely site it where it's around an industrial area, but I would say that, so from an efficiency standpoint, our newer technology is better, but I would also verify or classify that this is a manufacturing facility that will have some noise, but we should not reach the threshold of any requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what's happened there on Merritt Island, when they built that plant, there was nobody there, then everybody came, and now they don't like it. It's like when you move to the lake.
Right.
And you like it at first, but you don't like the boats now.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of excitement up there.
But we have done in other locations, we've been able to put kind of fencing or some noise mitigation measures around if that's necessary.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have another question.
Ron?
Yes, the plant operates 24 hours a day, correct?
Yes.
Do your truckers operate 24 hours a day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they'll be going out early in the morning and late, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, as whatever our customers need, but in this case for SpaceX, they require quite a lot, especially for launches, and so we do make sure that we have that capability, but they will be, for regular customers, yes, it will be like 24/7.
Okay, thank you.
Like for if I can just clarify, for hospitals, for instance, usually they have some storage facilities on site as well, so we can deliver oxygen on site to a hospital, or, fill up their storage tank, so they don't require it at a certain time, so we can kind of make sure that's scheduled in, for instance.
Ron, that almost equates to just two vehicles every hour if they just run all night long. So it may really, it's the fact that you run at night, that's got some pluses, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this what the plant currently produces? You're just making more of it?
Yes, exactly. This is exactly what the plant currently produces, and we'll be making more. And it's based upon the demand primarily from the aerospace industry.
How much of the wetlands was going to be affected
How much of the wetlands? Less than an acre.
with mitigation credits or by itself?
Mitigation
How
credits.
much without the mitigation credits?
Yes. What's that? I'm sorry?
Without the mitigation credits, like how much as a whole will the wetlands be affected?
Okay. Go ahead.
If you're, the Hardin report that's in your staff and the package says it was 5.6 acres. That was done in October of last year before they actually had the design for the site plan. So what's actually being impacted is about an acre of half an acre of true wetlands, and then you have the 25-foot buffer. So it's a full acre that they will get a mitigation credit for of about $240,000 to cost. But there's only 1 acre total they have to mitigate, and it will be in the mitigation bank in this area, the Yellen, I believe it's called.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Any more questions? Bruce, are you next?
I think, I'm sorry, I have one more question, and clearly, if these, you're already producing these, so you have, safety precautions, everything put in place, but I mean, like, and I'm reading, we had some people who said they're concerned, because there are some residences around this and zoning for residential right around this area, but so I'm okay with the Linde, but when it comes to the nitrogen, I do get frightened. So maybe you could just ease my fears and tell me what happens and how you make sure that we don't have any of these leaking, vaporized, because when I read about this, it says when ignited causes boiling liquid, expanding vapor, and it can bring about massive fireballs, and what I mean, there's a lot of negativity and connotation to this. So if we're making more and we've got residential areas around us,
Yes.
it makes me very nervous.
Understood. So I can talk a little bit about some of the precautions that we have. First off is that you said key point there is when it's ignited. So this is, if you vent it, it will go right up in the air. It's very light materials, it will go right up in the air. And so that is the precaution that we have. If there is an accident, we would vent it right away before it could be ignited. So that's kind of the idea behind some of the safety precautions. From a business practice, obviously we want to contain everything that we produce here. So it's that containment is very, very important. If we have a leak, then we're pretty much wasting the money, the product that we have. So all of these storage facilities, our cold box, are multi-layered so that we try to do everything we can to prevent that leak because of the value of the product. So to get really into it, even if one of these tractor trailers were to get in an accident, it would have to penetrate really deep into that tanker in order to expose any of the oxygen or any of the gases to leak out and to ignite, if you will. But then once that accident happens and there's a case like that, there's a switch would immediately vent up into the air so that all that would be eliminated in the process, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. It does make sense. So I guess my next question, of course, is, have you had any leaks so far with the existing?
We have not, and we have I think we're up to almost 10 years where even our trucks have not had any incidents, where major incidents that would classify as something that would have a potential leak. I mean, we have obviously some fender benders and those, but that has been, our safety record is very, very strong, and I can get you some more information on that. Thank you.
Can I build on that for a second?
Kim, you done?
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
can I build on that for a
Yep,
second?
go ahead.
The nitrogen, when you vent it out, does
Yes.
it go, so I'm not a scientist, so I don't know how it lays in the air. Does it go to the ground? Does it go up? Does it stay right around it? Because I think I was reading about the nitrogen and how it can, and maybe I have it confused with one of the other elements. Does it bring oxygen, like you can suffocate from it if you're exposed to too much of it?
Not that I'm aware of. These are atmospheric gases.
So does
and
it go
so
up?
It would go up.
It goes up.
That-
So it wouldn't
that's-
like settle down and
it would
go
not settle
into a
down like-
neighborhood
right.
or around an accident or
Right.
something like that.
Not like a processed gas that we would have, such as hydrogen or carbon dioxide, or et cetera. This will be these atmospheric gases are light. They'll go right up.
And there's not side effects to that for the neighborhoods.
No, because it's the air that we breathe. We have 80% nitrogen around us that we're breathing on a daily basis. So.
Okay.
I read probably exactly the same thing that you read, and it does say the hazard would be asphyxia. So I'm sorry, work with me. Thank you guys. All right. And as it evaporates, right, that it displaces oxygen in the air, which can lead to suffocation in closed or in poorly ventilated areas. So that's why I wanted to know if you had the safety precautions already there, because that I read the exact same thing, and that is obviously, a concern to the average
Yeah,
citizen
yeah.
and to the people who live or are going to potentially live around it.
And I think the key there is poorly ventilated. I mean, I'm thinking of an instance in our facility or on the streets where we are an open air environment where the ventilation immediately would go out. If you're in a closed facility with a lot of nitrogen, yes, there are some dangers there, but I don't foresee that in this. I know we have safety precautions in our plant that would not occur. I don't see that would be an instance in the public.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's get back to the roads issue.
Sure.
I'm not familiar with the area that much. Which roads are unpaved near your site?
So Hammock. So if you see this up here, you got Wiley Road and then the Hammock Road going up to where our expansion facility would be.
So it's just Hammock Road that
Yes.
is unpaved?
Yes.
But Wiley is?
Well, Wiley is, yes.
Wiley's and Hammock Trail. Is
Hammock
it
Trail.
trail now still?
Road.
Is the road, yes.
Road.
Do you have any plans to pave that road yourselves?
If our trucks are going on it,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Oh, okay. You want to come and talk? We'll give you a chance to.
I've seen that facility, and when the trucks leave the gate, they're on probably less than 100 feet of dirt road before they hit Wiley.
Right.
It's
But this
just-
is further north, so they're going to have more of a dirt road to travel on.
Yeah, right now Hammock Road basically stops a couple feet north of the intersection with Wiley, right at their driveway. So when they come out of the existing facility, they come right out. But the new driveway is going to be up past that ditch, so we're going to pave it up to the next driveways. So any driveways we put on Hammock, we're going to pave up to. And if
Okay.
you look, you can kind of see what.
Yeah, it makes sense to do
Yeah,
that.
well, we'll
rather than
have to. It
yeah.
is a county right of way, and they will require that.
Okay. Thanks, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the noise?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jones Road, which borders the property, is one of the few parks that we have in North Brevard, very few parks we have in North Brevard. I was out there not so long ago, and you can definitely hear the noise. And expanding the plant closer to the park on Jones Road, I wonder if it might make it unappealing for people in North Brevard to continue to visit that park based on the noise. And I know you were talking about some noise mitigation strategies. Are those in place, or is that just something that you're going to consider doing?
That's something right now we'll consider doing. And so, yeah, we can have more discussion of that. I am not aware of it having any impact that far north because of the greenfield that's around it. So those two rectangles where the facility will be coming in, and you say right above Jones Road?
I was out at Jones Road
Yeah.
a week and a half ago at the park, and it's very loud at the park.
Okay. Yeah,
It was really weird because on Hammock I didn't really hear it so much,
Yeah.
which would be your residential side, but on the back side where the park is, it was very loud.
Okay. Okay. Then that's something that we'll definitely want to make sure we have in consideration. I'm not aware of that, so I appreciate it.
Kim, are you done with your presentation?
I just have a few comments.
Okay. Let me grab the audience real quick. That's what I've been trying. Does anybody in the audience like to speak for or against this? Seeing none, come up, please.
I just handed out the site plan that shows the road that Mr. Moya was talking about. If anyone had any questions, that is a binding site plan. That's what you will see. That's what you will get. There may be some minor tweaks when there's more engineering, but that's the whole purpose of this conditional use permit. I did want to draw your attention. If you look at page 51, the aerial map, you can actually see it here pretty well too. This isn't a residential neighborhood. There's very few homes around here. There are, I can see 3 in the picture on page 51. Also, too, and when you compare it to that site plan, there's still a quarter of the property, it's 21 acres, that's not being developed to the north. So there's still quite a bit of buffer, natural buffer there as well. We still need to meet performance standards. If the noise level is too high at the property line, then something will have to be done because we still have to meet all performance standards of the code. I also wanted you to look at page 53, the wetlands map. Most everything to the west of the existing site is wetlands and it's residential. It won't be developed. It can't be under Brevard County Code. And the property to the north, Linde actually looked at purchasing that to move to the north. It's almost all wetlands. So that didn't make it possible either. It's currently residential. So not a lot can be built around this in the way of residential. But again, if there's a noise problem, they have to fix it. So I did want to mention that. I did want to also mention where the existing site is already has the conditional use permit for heavy industrial. It was granted a long time ago. This is the 10.5 acres to the north portion of this site. The other items I wanted to mention in the staff report is that they mentioned there's no concurrency problems. There's water, there's sewer, there's everything they need. The road will be paved up to the new entrance up there. And anything else that's needed, if right-of-way is needed, whatever, they're committed to doing that as well. So with that, we would ask that you approve the conditional use permit. If you have any other questions, we're here to answer them as well.
You know, Kim, one thing that makes me look positive of this is the fact that it's got a track record. It isn't like they're just coming into town and we're going to see what they've got. But so 1960, you say?
He said 1960s. The property appraiser says 66, but
Yeah,
they're not
wow,
always correct.
That's great. I mean, at least you got a track record.
Thank
We've had
you.
no explosions. Okay.
Was there any comment from Redfish Ranch, just north of you, about this going in? I don't even know what they do up there, if they just fish or if it's a restaurant or
It's a boat launch,
just a boat launch
just a boat
only?
launch.
Okay. All right. Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
I'm
I'll
not-
move to.
Any more what's pleasure?
ahead.
Ruth,
Go ahead.
you want to make a recommendation?
I can recommend we recommend approval with the county commission requiring a stoplight at US 1 and Wiley Road and noise mitigation for one of the few parks that North Brevard has. That would be my motion.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
How's that?
It's a, that's a state
Yeah,
road, you can't
that's-
require that. There's no way for us to dictate that.
It's going to be hard to justify if you got two trucks every hour, and you got a total of 90 during the course of 24.
I did want to mention, we have employed LTG to look at this. They're looking at the crash reports. They're talking to FDOT. If there's something that can be done or needs to be done, such as lowering the speed limit, LTG is looking at that because we did commit that to Commissioner Delaney, and I've been in touch with Josh Black. So we are looking at that. I just don't have anything to report, other than there's only 10,000 trips a day at that intersection. So I do have that report.
Thank you. And we need a motion.
Well, you have one. You have to vote on the one that just came up, because she
Okay.
put the stoplight in there, and it's gonna.
Okay, do we want to vote on this, on the what Ruth brought up? So there's a motion and second on looking at not requiring, I think. Is that true?
Looking at then, yes.
Yeah, okay. There's a motion second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposite like sign? Okay, I guess that passed, so you just can take a look at that. Now, we need the motion on the whole item. That was for the signal.
I think it was approval with that.
Was that with the approval? Okay. All right.
Wait a minute.
Approval with the light and the noise
With the
boundaries.
signalization.
But she can't put the light in. That's
Right, but then we
DOT.
kind of amended it to
No.
looking at putting a light in. So I think what we've done is
No, you can't do that.
yeah.
No.
Well,
So did we amend the motion to approval with looking at putting a light in and requiring noise reduction or noise boundaries
If needed.
if needed? That's kind of open.
help us dig out.
That won't work.
Okay, so my understanding of what the motion was a recommendation to look at putting in a traffic light and noise mitigation.
That was my
If needed.
understanding.
That was my understanding as well.
We
For the
have- there's
record,
two
if
of
we
us that
want to,
got it.
if we need to clarify that, let's do that.
Okay.
Sorry. I apologize. I meant for approval with those things, if I didn't say that clear enough,
Then we have to vote that.
to look at those things.
So you're not willing to amend your original
I'm
motion?
I'm willing to make a motion for approval with them looking at the light and noise mitigation for the park.
It's kind of open-ended, though, just looking at it.
I don't know the proper way to say it, I'm sorry.
You don't want it as a condition?
Do what?
Would you want it as a condition that
They said you can't make it a condition for the light. So
Exactly.
you
Miss
have to say
Amato, if I
looking
might.
at it.
It might be, if the study warrants those, that it be included in the CUP. It sounded like the applicant stated that they were doing some studies on the traffic and that they were potentially looking at the noise impacts.
Okay.
So if warranted, then those things would be included in the CUP?
That's a better way to say it then.
I would say so, yes.
Okay, so if warranted, I would recommend approval if warranted while they're looking at it for the light and noise mitigation for the park,
So you're amending your
Yes.
motion? Okay. So-
if that makes everything better.
Does that need a second?
I will
I'll second.
second that. I didn't realize we couldn't, with the light, so thank you.
Let me make sure we have this right. There's no way we can mandate a signal there. I mean, that's going to be beyond our area of expertise.
Right, that's why I said it based off of their studies, if it's warranted, like Mr. S. has recommended.
But anybody, I mean, when you talk about signalization, And you only got, they got 45 there now, so they got 45 more trucks, and now we want to signalize it. I think that's going to be a tough instrument. I mean,
I think if the studies, right, indicate, hey, we have these trucks and they're carrying very dangerous, toxins, and if somebody runs into them, it could be a big problem. Like if the studies indicate it, then the studies indicate it. If the studies don't, then we don't have, it's out of our hands. But I just think, we should have these studies done.
the problem with studies, I mean, they're easy, but they're extremely, extremely expensive.
It's underway. They're doing
Huh?
the study.
It's underway.
Yeah.
They're doing the study.
Yeah.
It's in process.
So before a vote, may I just understand, so if it was just a blanket approval, they're doing the study anyway to determine whether or not it needs a signal and/or noise mitigation, right? So effectively, we're just memorializing that in the motion? Is that where we
Correct.
are?
If there's a noise issue, then they would be subject to the code. They
Right.
would have to fix that anyway. If they're required to put in a traffic light based on a study, then they would have to do that.
Oh.
So my understanding is this is an approval of this as written, and then based upon whatever those studies come up, that's going to happen regardless.
Right. Okay,
So the motion's not.
so we got a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any in opposition? That passed unanimously.
I'm confused. I'm confused. I think that was a yes.
I think it was a yes. Next one. Is there,
No, that's it.
I thought they had a little tidbit there, okay.
Any tidbits, Rena?
Okay,
He's looking
I
for
thought you had one, yeah. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.